Real-life short story with moral lesson: The Girl from Miller's Creek. What happens when a broken family takes in a broken girl, hoping to save her, only to end up losing her to a secret they never saw coming? This is a story about loss, about mercy, and about a love that came too late to save the one who needed it most. Stay with me, because by the end of this you'll understand why some wounds never really close. Raylene was my sister-in-law, but fate is the one who made her that, not choice. I remember that time clear as a bell. I hadn't been accepted into the community college that fall, so I was studying at home for my exams, and Raylene was still finishing up high school at the time. My daddy worked for the railroad, so we had a house in the railroad company housing, not far from the depot. That's where our paths first crossed, at the home of a schoolteacher who gave lessons after hours. I was weak in one subject and needed the extra help, and Raylene showed up hungry to learn everything she could get her hands on. That's how our friendship started, easy as that. Her family's place wasn't far from ours, and soon enough we were in and out of each other's houses like we'd grown up together. She was a good girl, honest to the bone, and she became the truest friend I ever had. We looked out for each other through the good stretches and the hard ones. Her folks were getting on in years. Her mama was tired and her daddy was weak. The two of them worked themselves ragged just to keep her in school. She'd tell me everything. Some days her mama hadn't eaten a bite. Other days her brother had shown up out of nowhere. That brother was the shadow hanging over that whole family. His name was Wade, and Lord, he didn't live up to it. He'd fallen in with the bottle and the pills, running with a rough crowd that chewed him up slow. He'd disappear for weeks at a stretch. When he did turn up, it was never good news. He'd come through that door like a storm looking for something to wreck. He'd corner his mama for money, and when she didn't have any, he'd turn mean, breaking things, hurting himself, hauling off with whatever he could carry out the door. That family never had two nickels to rub together, because whatever they scraped up, Wade found a way to drain it dry. Some nights there wasn't a scrap of food in that house. Raylene needed somebody steady in her corner, somebody who could ease her mind as much as her wallet. Poverty had settled over that family like fog that wouldn't burn off, but whenever she came around our place, she lit up like a different girl. A few kind words from me and she'd walk taller. Her daddy had the sugar sickness bad. His body swollen up something awful, and steady work had gotten near impossible for him. She used to say, if only I had a sister, somebody to help carry this. She lived scared, always waiting on the day her daddy wouldn't wake up, wondering who'd stand between her and the world then. Her mama's cough kept her up nights, worn down long before her time from grieving over Wade. It happened during that stretch of weather where the rain never seems to start or stop, it just is. Raylene had gone to school that morning. Her daddy got ready for his shift, rain coming down steady, but a working man doesn't let weather keep him from a paycheck, so out the door he went. Somehow, someway, despite years working that rail line, he stepped wrong and the train caught him. Maybe a dizzy spell, maybe the rain was blinding him. Nobody ever really knew. When they brought him home, he was hardly fit to be recognized. His wife took one look, and the shock dropped her right where she stood. Her heart just gave out right then, right there. Nobody wanted to believe a thing like that could happen, that grief could take two lives in the same afternoon. But there it was, plain as day, two bodies laid out on cooling boards in that same little house. That's when Raylene came home from school. She saw the boards set up outside the house and took off running, straight past her own front door and over to ours. I'd gone with my mama to sit with the family. My sister caught her at the door and told her to wait right there till I got back from school myself. When I finally got home, she was already asking, "Why are those boards outside? Why's everybody gathered up? Where's Mama?" I didn't know what in the world to tell her. All I could manage was, "Raylene, your mama and daddy were good, decent people, and good people are needed on the other side same as they're needed here. You're a strong girl. Everybody who comes into this world is just passing through. The ones whose work is finished go on home, and the ones with more left to do, they stay till it's done." She just stared at me, trying to make sense of what I was saying, her eyes brimming over. Then she said, "Tell me straight, Nora. My head's about to bust open, I feel like I'm gonna die. I don't understand a word of it, just tell me plain." It was the women there who finally told her outright. She was a tender-hearted girl, and watching her take that news broke every one of us down too. The whole neighborhood was crying right along with her. All she could say over and over was, Lord, why'd you take my mama and my daddy both at once? What mercy is left for me now? Where do I go? What do I do? I sat beside her, holding on to her. Don't cry, I'm right here. You'll stay with me, you'll stay with us. 4 or 5 days passed like that, all of us staying at her place. She wouldn't eat, wouldn't drink a drop. Then one night, deep into the dark hours, she got up and ran clean up to the roof, standing there with her hands lifted to the sky, crying out, Lord, take me too, what am I supposed to do here without them? My mama and I sat listening to her through the walls, crying right along. The wounds cut so deep into that girl's heart that there wasn't any comfort that could reach it. I brought her back down, got her some water, tried to get her to eat something, but she wouldn't touch a bite. All she said was, I'll see my mama and daddy again on Judgment Day, and heaven will be theirs. Don't you forget me. I had some good years with you. I talked to her the rest of that night, telling her not to say things like that the Lord's plan is always the better one even when we can't see it, that there's a reason behind everything even when it doesn't feel like it. After the mourning period ended, we locked up her family's house and brought her home with us for good. Once she was settled in, she seemed to breathe a little easier. You've done so much for me, she said. I haven't slept a peaceful night in so long. I just need to sleep now, let me sleep. I gave her something to help her rest, and she slept through to the next day. I figured it was best not to wake her. Come 11 o'clock, she still hadn't stirred, so my mama and I ran into town for groceries. When we got back, the lock on her old house was busted clean off. Mama sent my brother running. He came back with a couple of men from the neighborhood, and inside they found Wade, tying up a bundle of the family's belongings like he was fixing to sell every last thing off. He'd torn that house apart looking for anything worth $1. The whole street stood there in stunned silence. That boy so far gone on drugs he hadn't even asked about his own sister, didn't care where she'd ended up. As soon as he heard his folks had passed, all he thought to do was break into that house and start hauling out whatever he could carry. My brother ran straight for the lawyer who lived a couple of houses down. The lawyer called the sheriff and Wade got hauled off. The house was sealed up tight until things could get sorted out legally. Raylene had been hoping so hard that her brother would come, hoping to fall into his arms and grieve together, the way any sister would want, no matter how far gone that brother had become. Grief has a way of making you want your kin close whatever they've done. When we woke her and told her what happened, that her brother had come but never once asked for her, that he'd broken in looking to sell off everything they had left, she went quiet and pale. Where is he now? Nobody could say. Wherever he's holed up, I reckon. She stayed troubled the whole day through. That night, once the house had gone quiet and everyone was asleep, she slipped out again and climbed up to the roof. My daddy happened to catch sight of her. He always woke in the small hours for his prayers, and he followed her up as quietly as he could. She was up there crying, talking to herself, pleading with the Lord. Why'd you give me a brother who can't even watch over me? And right then she went to jump. My daddy caught her just in time, or she'd have gone straight down into the yard below. After that night, we were all sick with worry over her state of mind. We were scared that trying to help her the right way might land us in more trouble than we knew how to handle. She had no other kin to send her to. She was in a bad way mentally, capable of almost anything in that condition. There seemed to be only one answer. Get her married off, but married to whom? Somebody willing to take on the job of protecting her, of carrying half her grief on his own shoulders. Who in the world was fixing to sign up for that? The neighbors had already done their part and moved on with their own lives. That left my brother Asa, but he had no interest in marrying Raylene. He was already promised to his second cousin Tammy Sue. My daddy nearly wore himself thin worrying over Raylene's future. He talked to some of the older folks in the county, but there wasn't an easy fix to be found anywhere. Eventually, all eyes landed on my brother, and he about came unglued. He told Mama and Daddy straight, don't make me the sacrificial lamb here. I've got no intention of marrying that girl, I mean to marry Tammy Sue, and that's final. He wasn't wrong to feel that way either. If Daddy broke off the engagement, what would he even tell Aunt Ruth, Tammy Sue's mother? She'd never speak to us again. Raylene was just an ordinary girl. Nothing about her that would have caught my brother's eye as special. He kept saying, I've still got school to finish, I've got my own life to build. How am I supposed to take on a wife right now? But Mama and I kept at him. We told him, be the one who gives somebody a life to stand on. Help a girl who's got nobody left, and the Lord will bless you for it. Tammy Sue will find somebody else in the family easily enough. Raylene's the one we need to worry about, and we can't leave her hanging like this much longer. One day, Mama told my brother Asa, take that poor grieving girl for a drive now and then, get her out of the house a spell. You'll earn yourself some blessing for the kindness if nothing else. Asa agreed, though not exactly eager about it. So it became his job, evening after evening, to take Raylene and me out driving, sometimes to the park, sometimes just out along the county road to sit a while and get some air. We'd talk, easy conversation, nothing heavy, and little by little, I watched it work on her like sunshine on frost. Slowly, the sharp edge of her grief started to dull. She began taking a real interest in what Asa had to say. Before long, she was pitching in around the house, helping Mama with the cooking and cleaning, keeping herself neat and looking more like herself again. Funny thing was, Asa stopped treating those talks like some chore he had to get through. He started actually enjoying her company, talking with real warmth, real patience. Even when it was just the two of them sitting together, they had things to say to one another. When a person truly means to win somebody's heart, it doesn't take nearly as long as you'd think, so long as there's honest goodwill behind it. Right about the time we were all still scratching our heads over what to do, fate went ahead and settled the matter on its own. Word got back to us that Tammy Sue, the girl my brother had been promised to since they were kids, didn't actually want him. Turns out she'd been sweet on her cousin Dwight the whole time. When Tammy Sue herself turned my brother down flat, it knocked the wind clean out of him. The girl he'd carried in his heart for years belonged to somebody else in the blink of an eye. Asa took it hard, but he pulled himself together. He had Raylene's example sitting right there in front of him. A girl who'd lost everything and still found her way back to living. All because somebody had shown her a little human kindness. He mulled it over for a spell, and then he came to Mama and Daddy with his decision made. He told them he was ready to marry Raylene. That news landed on all of us like sunshine breaking through. Raylene had become a weight on our hearts, a responsibility my parents wanted to see through right, and Asa's decision settled the whole matter clean. When I told my friend that my brother wanted to marry her, she lit up like something coming back to life after being gone a long while. I'd wanted this too, but I never could have said it out loud. My hands were tied on that. She told me, y'all have already done more for me than I could ever repay, taking me in so I wasn't left all alone. And now you're wanting to make me family for real. I might just go plumb crazy from happiness. Raylene and Asa got married. He didn't marry her out of love, not at first. He married her to give her a place to stand, to bring peace to our parents, and it brought me peace too. But Raylene's heart worked differently. She fell truly deeply in love with my brother. 4 years went by, and their life together was a settled, peaceful one. We were all at ease, glad to have a sister-in-law who respected everybody, who looked after Mama, who never stopped being grateful, because we were the only family she had, and she'd been starving for love her whole life. That love she found finally through my parents treating her like their own. For years in, everything came crashing down. Tammy Sue's marriage had fallen apart, ended in divorce, and she reached back out to my brother quietly behind everybody's back. First, Asa kept his distance. But how long can a man keep away from a love he's carried since he was a boy? That old feeling had never really died, just gotten covered over by time. None of us had a clue what was going on at first. Then a relative spotted them together and mentioned it, but we didn't want to believe it. That wasn't the brother we knew. Still, a person can stumble, even a good one. One evening, my youngest brother saw the two of them together downtown with his own eyes. He came home and told Mama, not knowing Raylene was close enough to hear every word. She never let on that she'd heard. But that news settled into her heart and stayed there. And she slipped right back into that same sadness we'd worked so hard to pull her out of. By then, she was a mother to a baby boy. Raylene never said a word to Asa about what she knew. I wish to God she had. I was her friend, and she only ever brought her troubles to me. Instead, quiet as anything, she took something that ended her life, and left every one of us behind to grieve. She left my brother a note. It said, I know now that you truly love Tammy Sue, and that marrying me was only ever kindness and duty. I've been standing between you and the love you were meant to have. You and your family showed me more mercy than I ever deserved, so let me give that mercy back. The same open-handed way you gave it to me when I had nothing and nobody. That night she nursed her baby boy, put him to sleep, and then lay down herself. Asa came home late. He'd taken to saying he was out on business those days. Come morning, Raylene still hadn't woken. He called her name, shook her gently, then not so gently, but there wasn't a breath left in her to answer him with. Grief came down on me like a landslide. I sat there staring at her face, crying till I couldn't cry anymore. But she looked so peaceful, like she'd finally set every burden down and found real rest. That day, the bond between Raylene and me broke for good. No prayer, no plea was ever going to undo it. Losing my sister-in-law, Raylene, left a wound in me that's never fully healed. She took my dearest friendship with her when she went. All she ever wanted at the end was to be back with her mama and daddy. She didn't have the patience to wait it out, and she chose the wrong road to get there. Still, I pray wherever she rests now, that she's found the peace she was always chasing. That girl bore the loss of her parents with a strength most of us couldn't manage, but the ache of a divided heart was the one grief she couldn't carry all the way through. She's gone now, far from all of us but never far from my memory.